So let's start out lying down on our backs. So you can come into what's called constructive rest pose. And that's with your feet on the mat. You can allow the knees to tent together, allow the spine to lengthen onto the mat. Just allow yourself this opportunity to arrive in the moment. Settle in. And you can bring yourself into the present by releasing any thoughts of the past and any plans for the future. This year, I've been studying the ethical practices of yoga, which are part of the 8 limbs of yoga, called the yamas and the niyamas. And these are 10 concepts that are basically yoga's instructions on how we can live an ethical life. So the first 5 are called the yamas. Those are nonviolence, truthfulness, non-excess, non-possessiveness. And then the 5 niyamas are purity, contentment, self-discipline, self-study, and surrender. So since this is the month of August, we're on to the 3rd niyama, and today's niyama is called tapas, which means self-disciplined. Tapas literally means heat, and it can be translated as catharsis, austerities, self-discipline, spiritual effort, change, tolerance, and transformation. Tapas has the sense of cooking ourselves in the fire of discipline to transform ourselves into something else. It is our determined effort to become someone of character and strength. Tapas eventually changes our nature, turning us into a cauldron that we then can withstand any of life's challenges. Tapas is the day-to-day choice to burn non-supportive habits of the body and mind, choosing to forsake momentary pleasures for future rewards. Whether we practice tapas by showing up on our mat for a regular posture practice or through constant acts of selfless service, we offer ourselves to the next higher version of us. We willingly stand the heat so that we might produce a lustrous bounty in our lives. This guideline not only speaks to our personal effort, but also those cathartic times of almost hopeless desperation where we find ourselves in the pain of unexpected loss or debilitating sickness. And in those throes of life that seem like it's been turned upside down. And yet in these times that shape and mold us into someone of depth, our debris gets burned away and we are left humbled and strengthened by the mystery of what is beyond our grasp of control or of understanding. It is in these darkest times of pain, loss, and confusion that weaves something profound in us. So if this idea of tapas speaks to you, you might allow that to be your intention for your practice today. If there's another intention that is speaking to you or reason that you showed up on your mat, something you'd like to cultivate, or even something you'd like to release, you can go ahead and allow that intention to come to your mind and then allow yourself to plant it at your heart center. We'll begin to invite some gentle movements into the body. So with the knees as wide as the mat, you can begin to windshield wiper the knees from left to right, allowing the right knee to fall towards the left foot. And then following the pace of your breath, you can inhale and exhale side to side, allowing the right foot or the right knee to fall towards the left foot. You might turn your gaze side to side in the opposite direction of your knees. And then on the next inhale, whenever you feel ready, we'll meet back up in center. And you can go ahead and push your arms up, your hands up towards the sky. Imagining you are able to push the sky away. And then on the next inhale, go ahead and press your palms up towards the sky, reaching your shoulder blades up off the ground. And exhale, allow them to soften back down. You can go ahead and take a few rounds like this, inhaling to press the palms up and exhaling to release them down. So you're just pressing them up towards the sky, lifting the shoulders, exhale to release. Whenever you're ready, you can draw your knees in towards your chest, give yourself a nice big hug, and then start to rock and roll all along the length of your spine. Whenever you're ready, we'll rock up into a seat, and then you can slide your hands behind you and allow your knees to fall over to the right. Inhale them back to center and exhale, allow them to fall over to the left. And then you might lift your torso up and begin to swing the arms around in the direction of your knees. Maybe planting the left hand behind you as you roll onto your left side. And then you can swing the hands around, plant the right hand behind you, reach the left arm back for a nice twist. And you can keep this movement going, or you can plant the left hand behind you and maybe lift the hips, reaching the right hand up and overhead. And go ahead and come back to center. You might plant the right hand this time, sweep the left arm up and over, and maybe lift the hips. Maybe you take one more round in any kind of variation that works best for you on each side. And whenever you're ready, we'll come back to center, and you can cross the ankles and just find a comfortable seat. Allow your chin to tuck slightly towards your chest, lengthening your spine. And then whenever you're ready, you can begin to just bow your chin towards your chest, bringing your head to bow towards your heart, keeping the spine nice and tall. And then with your next exhale, go ahead and swing your left ear over towards your left shoulder, allowing your right ear to melt away, or your right shoulder to melt away from your ear. So you're finding length all along your right side. Stretching through the neck. You might gently begin to nod your head yes. Practicing saying yes. Inviting in new opportunities. And then begin to gently shake your head no. Practicing saying no. Releasing that which does not serve you. And then we'll come back to center or come back to neutral without any shaking. And then you can begin to allow your chin to once more tuck towards your chest and round over, bringing the right ear towards the right shoulder, lengthening through the left side of the neck. Take a nice deep breath, allowing it to cascade down the side of the neck, And then you might begin to once more nod your head yes. You might think of one thing in life you'd like to say yes to. And then gently begin to shake your head no. Maybe bringing to mind one thing that you'd like to say no to. And then you can release all thoughts, coming back to the present moment and coming back to stillness. Allow the chin to once more trace the front of the chest. And you can bow your head towards your heart. Take a nice deep breath here. And then whenever you're ready, you can float your head back up to center. We'll bring our hands to interlace at the heart center, and you can start to draw some circles with the wrists. You might hear some snap, crackle, pops. Just allowing the movement to lubricate the joints of the wrist. And you can also reverse the direction when you're ready. You might send gratitude towards the wrists, all the different movements they can make. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the hands to center and open up the palms. Press the palms forward as you round the spine back. Take a nice deep breath, and on your next inhale, you can rise to center, lengthening your spine. And on your exhale, we'll turn to the left. You can release your hands down, bringing your right hand onto your left knee and planting your left hand behind you. Go ahead and send the gaze behind your left shoulder. With each inhale, you can allow yourself to lengthen, and each exhale might twist you just a millimeter more to the left. With your next exhale, go ahead and drop your chin towards your chest and begin to turn your gaze over to the right. So now you're just turning your gaze past your right shoulder. Inhale to lengthen the spine. And exhale to go a tiny bit deeper into your twist. And then we'll inhale to come back to center. You can switch out the cross of your legs. And then let's bring the hands to interlace. Try to interlace them the opposite way, so maybe the awkward way. And then you can press the palms forward as you round the spine back like cat pose. Inhale to rise to center, lengthening the spine. And then exhale to turn to the right, releasing the hands down, bringing the left hand onto the right knee. You can turn the gaze behind the right shoulder, planting the right hand behind you as like a supportive second spine. With each inhale, lengthening the spine, and each exhale might twist you a tiny bit deeper. With your next exhale, you can bow your head towards your heart and sweep your chin over towards the left, turning your gaze now past the left shoulder. Take a nice deep breath here. And then we'll inhale to release. You can come onto hands and knees, or if that's going to be not comfortable on your knees, you can always stay seated for some cat and cow. So we'll come into hands and knees with the hands underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips, and you can inhale to drop the belly, rounding the heart forward for cow pose. Exhale to round the spine and come into cat. Go ahead and take a few rounds of cat and cow, following the pace of your own breath. As you breathe into the spine, you might just marvel at the design of your perfect body, all the amazing movements that the spine can make. Perhaps it would feel good to start drawing a circle with the belly button after a few rounds of cat and cow. Imagining you were tracing the inside of a hula hoop, sending breath into any areas of tension and allowing that tension to release. After a few rounds in one direction, feel free to explore the other direction, maybe turning your circle in the opposite direction. If there's any places that need special attention, you're welcome to hold that spot for a breath. And then take one more round in whichever direction you're going. And we'll come back to a neutral spine. Begin to draw the belly towards the spine, coming back to neutral. And then on your next exhale, you can turn your gaze over your right shoulder and bend your hip towards your shoulder. So you're forming a letter C shape with the body. Inhale, we'll come back to center, and exhale, we'll wag our tail to the other side, bringing the left hip towards the left shoulder. Go ahead and take 2 more rounds like this on each side. Whenever you feel ready, we'll meet up in a neutral spine. And you can bring your big toes to touch. Walk your knees out wide, sink your hips back, and walk your hands out in front to lower your forehead down to the mat for child's pose. If you find that your forehead doesn't quite reach the mat and you'd like a little more support, you're welcome to either stack your palms or stack your fists to make a little pillow to rest your forehead. Take a nice deep breath in your child's pose. Allow yourself to relax all effort. If you'd like to take a side bend, you can begin to walk your hands over to the right and reach your left hand long away from your left hip. Maybe turn your gaze underneath your right armpit. Sending breath all along the left side, imagining your breath is like the wave of an ocean. And then when you're ready, we'll walk the hands over towards the left this time. Reach the right hand away from the right hip. Maybe turn your gaze underneath the left armpit. Take one more nice deep breath on this side. And then we'll come back to center and you can take another deep breath in your child's pose. And whenever you're ready, we'll press up to hands and knees. And you can leave the knees wide here. Let's keep the left hand planted. And we'll inhale to open the right arm up towards the sky, turning the heart and the gaze upwards. On the next exhale, you can sweep that hand down and under and land on your right shoulder for thread the needle. You might allow your temple to rest, turning your gaze to the left. And maybe you leave the left hand planted on the earth for a little more support. Or you could walk that hand out in front like child's pose, or even spin the left hand around and allow the back of the hand to rest at the low back. choosing whatever variation works best for you. And feeling free to continue to support your effort with that left hand. Whenever you're ready, if your hand is resting at your low back, allow it to melt down to the ground. We'll press into the left hand and then inhale to open up through the right side. On your next exhale, let's switch sides, planting the right hand. We'll inhale the left arm up and open, sweeping the heart up towards the sky, lifting the gaze. And then when you're ready on your next exhale, you can slide that hand underneath the body, come onto the shoulder, allow the temple to rest. It might feel best to just continue to support yourself with your right hand. Or if you feel like you'd like to take it a little deeper, you might walk the right hand out in front like child's pose. Or maybe spin the right hand around and allow it to gently rest at the low back. Remembering that you always have options, and what works on one side might not feel the same on the other. Neither option is superior to the other. So do what works best for you and your body, realizing that each pose is infinite and will change from day to day, side to side. If your hand is resting at your low back, allow it to melt down to the ground. You can press into the right palm and then inhale to open up through the left side, lifting the heart and the gaze. On the next exhale, we'll release that side. And then let's come back into hands and knees. You can bring the forearms down onto the mat and either press the palms onto the mat or interlace the fingers. We'll slide first the right leg back and press the heel towards the mat to lengthen through the back of the leg. You can also do this on your palms, but I just thought I'd give your wrists a little break. Imagine you were able to press that heel towards the mat to find length through the back of the leg. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the right knee back underneath the hip, and you can slide the left leg back, tucking the toes under, pressing the heel towards the mat. Take a nice deep breath all the way down the back of the leg. And then we're going to have the option for a forearm plank, but you can always skip it and come onto your belly, and you can also soften it by using the support of your knees. So with your left leg back, you can slide your right leg back to meet it, and then you can always lower onto the knees for more support. Find whichever variation of plank works for you today, and feel free to skip it all together. We'll all meet whenever you're ready. Take your time on our bellies. So feel free to stay in your forearm plank for a few rounds of breath, and then when you're ready, you can soften down, and you'll land with your elbows underneath your shoulders, and you can press into the mat as you glide the heart forward and traction the hands back for Sphinx Pose. Hopefully this feels like a nice gentle back bend. You might roll your shoulders one time up towards your ears and exhale to glide them back and down. And then whenever you're ready, we'll stack the palms and lower our forehead to the mat for crocodile pose. You're welcome to rest here, breathing into the back of the body. Our seat of self-care. Or if it might feel good to have a little movement, you can bend the knees and allow the heels to gently windshield wiper from side to side. When you're ready, we'll release the feet back down to the mat. And then you can slide the hands behind you with the palms facing up. And on your next inhale, go ahead and lift the heart, lift the feet, lift the arms, and come into a flying superhero position. Locust pose. Take a few nice, deep, steady breaths here, balancing on the belly. You can stay just like this, or with your next inhale, you might float the arms forward and exhale to swim them back. Inhale to reach them forward. Exhale to slide them back. And maybe one more time like this. Then with your next exhale, go ahead and turn your gaze to the left. Soften all of your effort, allowing your right temple to land on the mat. Allow yourself to delight in this time of rest. And that might feel like a nice, gentle stretch for the neck by turning your gaze. We're going to come back into locust pose one more time. And you have the option to take a bow pose if you'd like. So if you'd like to stay in the locust, you're going to inhale to lift your body, lift the arms, lift the legs, lift the chest. And if you'd like to take bow pose, you might bend one ankle, reaching back with the hand to grasp hold of the ankle, and then bend the other ankle, reach back with the hand to grasp hold of the ankle, and lift the heart, kicking the feet into the hands. And it's okay if you can't quite reach, you can always reach for them or stay in your locust pose. Take a few nice deep breaths in whichever place you landed. And then with your next exhale, you can release the feet. This time we're turning the gaze to the right. Allow yourself to soften down. Allow your right temple to rest on the mat. And allow yourself to relax all effort. Whenever you're ready, we'll press the palms underneath the shoulders. You can tuck the toes under, and we'll press up through table or plank. And then we're going to find one downward facing dog. So you can tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and back. You can always stay in table pose as opposed to taking downward facing dog. If you're in your down dog, feel free to pedal your heels towards your mat, sashaying the hips a little side to side. Take a moment to shake your head no, and then nod your head yes. And then from your downward facing dog, you can walk your hands to your feet or your feet towards your hands and come into a forward fold. We'll wrap our hands around our opposite elbows, and you can allow yourself to gently ragdoll here, swaying gently side to side. When you're ready, we'll come back to stillness, release the hands towards the mat, and then you can slide your palms onto your shins or your thighs and press into your legs as you lift up halfway with a flat back. Exhale to forward fold. And then we'll bend into the knees, and you can allow yourself to roll up one vertebrae at a time. Once you're at standing, you can inhale to reach your arms up overhead, and then exhale to draw your hands to your heart center. Go ahead and release your hands to your sides and find yourself in mountain pose. You might close down the eyes, feeling the connection with your feet on the mat, allowing yourself to root down. And then whenever you're ready, we'll flutter our eyes open and we're going to take warrior one pose. So let's step to the front of our mats and you can slide your right foot back at 45 degrees, bend into your front knee and allow that knee to traction towards the toes. You can bring your hands onto your hips and then find a soft gaze off the edge of your mat. Once you feel like you have a strong, steady base of support, you might float your arms up and over head, reaching them up past the ears and maybe lifting the heart and lifting the gaze. With your next exhale, we'll float the hands next to the hips and bring the torso forward to hover. Let's inhale to come back to warrior one. And exhale to float it down, flying the arms back. Inhale to float it back up to warrior one. And one more time like this. And then we'll inhale back to warrior one. And when you're ready, you can exhale your hands down behind you. And you can either tug onto the back of your shirt to give yourself a little prop here, or you can interlace the hands and maybe extend the arms straight or leave the hands resting on the low back, whatever feels best for the shoulders. On your next exhale, we're going to come into humble warrior. So allow your heart to lead as you melt the heart down towards the ground. You can soften the torso onto the thigh and then maybe allow the hands to fall overhead. If that's too much for the shoulders, you can always keep your hands resting at your low back. Allow your gaze to soften and your torso to hang heavy. Whenever you're ready, you can release your hands down to your low back. We'll bring the hands to the hips and then inhale to rise to center and maybe return once more to warrior one. Take a nice deep breath here. And then on the next exhale, we'll bring our hands to our hips, lean forward, and you can step your right foot up to meet your left. Take a moment to walk your feet wide and then just shake it all off. Maybe exhaling through the mouth. And then we're going to get ready for that same sequence on the opposite side. So you can leave your right foot forward, bring your hands to your hips, step the left foot back to 45 degrees. And we'll bend into that front knee, tractioning it towards the toes. Find your strong base of support. And then whenever you're ready, you might float your arms up towards the sky, coming into warrior one. Lifting the heart, lifting the gaze, allowing the shoulders to melt away from the ears. Feel a strengthened, solid base and a light and airy torso and arms. With your next exhale, we'll fly the hands back as we swim the torso forward. Inhale to rise back to warrior one. Exhale, diving forward. Inhale back to warrior one. And one more time like this. On your next inhale, we'll rise to warrior one. And then as you exhale, you can swim the hands behind you and either interlace the fingers, maybe this time the awkward way, so not the same way as before. And you can allow your hands to rest at your low back, or you might extend your arms behind you. And with your next exhale, allow your heart to lead as you melt your torso forward for humble warrior. Allow your torso to rest on your thigh. You can extend your arms over your head or leave them resting at the low back. Allow your gaze to soften towards the ground. And then on your next exhale, you can bring the hands to the low back, release the fingers, bring them to the hips, and then inhale, we'll rise, lifting the torso. And you might float your arms back up overhead, coming into warrior one. With your next exhale, lower the hands to your hips. And you can lean forward as you step forward to come into mountain pose. You can allow your arms to rest at your sides as you bring the palms to face forward. And once more, take a moment to close down the eyes or soften the gaze. Feeling yourself rooted into the earth. And then we'll flutter the eyes open. You can inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Exhale to swan dive forward. Inhale for halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. On the next inhale, we'll bend into the knees and sweep the hands up and overhead. And exhale to draw the hands to the heart center. For our standing balance pose, I thought we would explore tree pose. So while we're standing, let's find, and you can also come to a tree for support if you know there's some trees around. So let's find a place that would be comfortable to stand, and let's start to root into our left leg. So you can start to just peel the right heel off of the mat. And maybe you want to explore balance a little bit more, and then you can turn your right knee open as you allow the heel of your right foot to just rest against your left shin. You can bring your hands to your hips for a little more support, and then you might slide the foot up a little bit more onto the calf. Or if you'd like to go further, you can jump over the knee and bring your foot to your inner thigh. Finding a soft gaze, a gentle place that's unmoving off the tip of the nose, call that a dristi, and that can help for balance. If you'd like, you can allow your hands to meet at your heart center. And then imagine that seed of intention is planted in between your palms. You can start to open the three middle fingers into a lotus mudra. And as your intention begins to grow, you might grow your tree limbs taller. Maybe spreading your branches wide. It's okay to fall out and come back in. Balance is not a fixed place, right? It's a movement. Whenever you're ready, you will step the foot out wide to the side and then shake it all off. Allow your arms to graze your sides. Maybe giving a gentle massage to your kidneys and your adrenals on your back. And then we'll come back to center and get ready for the other side. So find whatever would feel comfortable. There's sometimes a lot of lumps on the ground, so find a place that's less lumpy. And then you can begin to root down through your right leg, peel your left heel off of the mat. You can always stay right here. If you'd like, you can begin to open your left knee And maybe place your left heel on your right shin. You can bring your hands to your hips for a little more support. And then when you're ready, if you'd like to explore balance, just feel free to slide the heel up on, or the foot up onto the, what is that, the calf, or maybe jump over the knee and allow your foot to rest at your inner thigh. If you'd like, once more, you can invite your hands to meet at your heart center. And then just bring that intention back to the heart space, planting that seed in between the palms. You might open the 3 middle fingers and then grow your intention with your arms up towards the sky in whichever variation works best for you. Allow the shoulders to melt away from the ears. Find your gentle, soft gaze, your drishti, something unmoving. And then whenever you're ready, we'll step the foot out wide and gently shake it all off. When you're ready, we can come back to stillness. And let's come to the top of our mats. We'll inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Exhale to swan dive forward. Inhale here for halfway lift, pressing the palms into the shins. Exhale to forward fold. And then you can plant the palms and walk the feet back to either tabletop or downward facing dog. You can also take a child's pose. So whichever 3 feels right for you. It can either be in down dog for a few rounds of breath, tabletop, or child's pose. We're going to make our way from one of the 3 places that you landed to all meet up in a tabletop. And you can walk your feet or your knees forward towards your hands and then come onto your seat with your knees facing up towards the sky. From here, let's reach the arms out, and you can stay here feeling the strength in the core, or you might bring your hands behind your thighs and begin to tip it back to find balance in boat pose. Feel free to stay here, or maybe you extend the arms long, lifting the heart, taking a nice deep breath, and then whenever you're ready, you can land the feet. We'll slide the hands back, press the palms underneath the shoulders. You can walk the heels in and lift the hips into altar pose. Maybe you send your gaze towards your navel, up towards the sky, or allow your gaze to fall behind you. On your next exhale, we'll land the hips and then bring the feet to touch. And you can lengthen through your spine. We'll hinge at the hips and lead with the heart to fold forward as much as feels comfortable for you. It's okay if you can't go very far. Just feel free to go wherever you feel sensation. You can continue to keep a flat back here, or you might allow your heart to melt forward and round forward. With your next inhale, we'll press into the earth and rise to center. You can extend your right foot out to the side, bring your left foot to the inner thigh, and then we're gonna slide the right hand down the right leg as you swivel the left arm up and overhead for a side bend here. You might lift your gaze up towards your left fingertips. With your next exhale, allow your left fingertips to rain down towards your right foot. And then inhale to circle sweep the arm back up and over. Go ahead and take 2 more rounds like this. You might follow your fingertips with your gaze. And then on your next inhale, we'll rise to center, lifting both arms. You can turn towards your right foot and then begin to bow over your right foot. Maybe bringing your hands to frame your front shin, or you can walk your hands down. Maybe even drape your fingertips over your toes. But wherever you land is fine for you today, and it's not one place is better or worse. Just find what works best for you and your body. Avoiding comparing or contrasting yourself with others. And whenever you're ready, we'll rise to center. And then let's switch out the legs so you can extend the left leg, bring the right foot in to meet the left thigh. And then we'll slide the left arm down the left leg as you spin the right arm up and overhead. You might look up at your right fingertips. And then with your next exhale, you can melt those fingertips down towards the ground, reach them out towards the left foot, and then inhale to circle sweep the arm back up and over. Go ahead and take 2 more rounds like this. And then after that last round, let's inhale to sweep both arms up towards the sky. You can turn your gaze now to the left toes and then begin to bow towards the leg, flexing the toes towards the knee. And you can walk your hand to frame your shin. Maybe even bring your hand onto your shin if that feels good, or walk your hands down to your toes. Take a nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, we'll walk the hands back into center. And you can bring your legs out long. Reach your hands out towards your feet, and then begin to slowly, softly lengthen onto your mat. Once you arrive on your mat, you can bend into the knees and draw them in towards the chest, maybe lifting your nose up towards your knees to give yourself a nice big hug. Send yourself gratitude for being here today, and then gently lower your head back down to the ground as you walk the hands up the shins, maybe towards the feet, drawing your knees in towards your armpits for happy baby pose. You might gently rock a little bit side to side. And we're going to be coming in towards our final resting pose, Shavasana. So if there are any other last poses you'd like to take, you're welcome to take them now, or you can find any kind of resting pose that feels good to you. You might start where we began in the constructive rest with your feet on the mat and your knees tented together. Or you can find a tree or a wall space and you might extend your legs up the tree. It's going to be hot, it's August and all. So that inversion, that gentle inversion of your legs up a wall or up a tree, I just like to invite you to remember that if you're feeling overheated in your body, maybe you've sensed some swelling of the legs. Of course, you should see a doctor if it's really bad, but You can always just reverse the flow of gravity by extending your legs up the wall. So for the end of class, I'm gonna leave you with a few thoughts from this book, The Yamas and the Niyamas by Deborah Adele, the same book I started class with. And just revisiting this idea of tapas, self-discipline. Tapas is growing our ability to stay in the unknown and the unpleasantness rather than run in fear. It is the willingness to both be burned and blessed. The discipline of tapas will mold us into someone of great depth and profoundness if we let it. Can we stand the heat of being dismantled and changed forever by the fire? Can we prepare ourselves daily through our practice, our staying power, and our choices? Can we stay in the burning with integrity? Can we hold on for the blessings? You can allow yourself to settle into whichever final resting pose you chose, allowing your forehead to soften, your jaw to release, your shoulders to melt onto the earth. If you feel all the places where the earth is rising to meet you, you might notice the unique impression that your body is making on the earth. This unique impression that only you can make. Feel the abundance and the resources rise to support you as you relax all effort, feeling the hug of gravity holding you to the earth. You can begin to deepen your breath now. You might take a moment to revisit your intention for your practice today. And then allowing your breath to fill your heart center. Feel your heart grow in all directions. And then take a moment to zoom out noticing your place in this vast universe. What a miracle it is to be here together in this time and place. Start to invite some movement into your fingers and toes. Gently begin to rotate your wrists and your ankles. Maybe you find a long body stretch, inhaling your arms up past your ears. And then you can begin to hug your knees towards your chest and roll onto one side to find a fetal position. You might cradle your head onto your biceps. And then whenever you're ready, you can press yourself up into a seat. You might invite your hands to meet at your heart center. And allow your head to gently bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's such an honor and a privilege to have this opportunity to guide you through your practice this morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Namaste. I hope you all have a great Sunday. Right. I know. Every time I've mentioned tapas to anyone, they're like,